Shivram, please give our viewers and listeners some tips on gold buying.
Uh, so you see, there are two at a consumer level.
Or gold jewelry, to be more precise, right? That's what I
There are
mean.
there are 2-3 levels at which you can decide.
Hmm.
First and foremost, it is no longer about just, let's say, gold jewelry buying,
Okay.
right? So today you have gold jewelry, you have diamond jewelry, you have platinum jewelry, you have, let's say, solitaire in itself as a category.
Right.
Then you have, semi-precious stones. So what, rather than, go from a category perspective, right?
Sure.
Most consumers today are looking at it from a lifestyle, right? Uh,
Right.
so do I need jewelry for, let's say, workwear? Do I need jewelry for my wedding? Do I need
Right.
jewelry for my party wear? So that's how the whole consumer is evolving. Though the
Excellent.
industry itself is still looking at it exclusive as gold wear and diamond wear and platinum or solitaire. So depending upon that, it could be a workwear which is lightweight. Again, I was talking to somebody, right? Let's say in Europe, for example, the jewelry is very, very intricate, right?
Right.
Whereas in America, it's a very chunky kind of an jewelry, right? Even for casual wear or office wear. Whereas in India, office wear or work wear, right, or daily wear, for example, is still very practical,
Mm.
right? So it's all dainty earring, fingerings, and bangles, which are typically what we call as machine-made bangles, which are hard, right? So hard means big, so that it doesn't get deformed very easily, because most gold jewelry is still 22 karat. When it comes to diamond jewelry or platinum jewelry, it is more 18 karat. In fact, increasingly, because of the higher and higher gold prices, it's coming down to 14 karat. 14 karat has generally not been accepted in India, but more and more, especially in North India, people are offering 14 karat studded jewelry. 14 or 18 is better than 22 because it's a harder metal, because there are other metals that go into this jewelry. From a customer point of view, then comes back to what is it that you want, where is it, or what occasion you want to wear. And then depending upon that, is it a match set, is it a mismatch set, right? There are people who are synchronized from head to toe, right?
Colors
So
and
the earring, the finger ring, the neck piece, they're all of the same identical design. There are some people who are not so particular, so there is something which is similar looking, or it may not even be similar looking, because these are all precious wear, so it's not easy to have multiple identical sets.
correct. Right. So then if it comes to gold itself, for let's say for everybody loves a bargain or a better price, right? So for better price, should they actually buy during those festive days when there is so much of advertisement, Dhanteras, Akshaya Tritiya, go buy now, or they should actually buy it in off season, which is
So the answer,
which is
I don't
better?
know, it's again a very unconventional answer from mine. Depends again on what's your ethos or a culture. There are some people who buy on precious, uh, uh,
Auspicious days.
auspicious days. Even the car industry has moved to that, saying that I will purchase it on, let's say, Dhanteras or Akshaya Tritiya, because there's some kind of a
Thought process involved and
no, the belief is
auspicious.
that more wealth will come into it, into
Correct.
myself or whatever it is.
Right. Right.
Well, for me, the answer is again, it depends on the consumer's journey, life cycle journey, right? If the Once upon a time, many of us probably bought clothes only on specific days. Now
Correct.
it is no longer about specific days; it's about about when you want or when you feel like, uh, you know. Buying the new clothes, or when you feel you need the new clothes, or some people are
Exactly.
shopping because retail therapy, I just want to shop and I want to feel good, it doesn't matter when. So then it comes to the question of, it doesn't matter, right? If it doesn't matter whether it should be on Akshaya Tritiya or Diwali or anything, right? Some people are today increasingly buying on birthdays or anniversaries,
Okay.
Valentine's Day, right? So those are momentous occasions in their lives, right? So people are beginning to also shop in those times. but it's also a fact that the industry is also marketing those occasions. Valentine Day is being marketed across all kinds of consumer facing industries. Hospitality industries come and do stay occasion, have dinner with us. Somebody else is saying, take them for a ride on a motorcycle, buy a new motorcycle, for example. So everybody is trying to stretch the concept of celebrations, right? Any product, any category. So that's what I would say. Whatever is your, you cannot slot it from an organization point of view. Again, depends on the brand. If you are a traditionally focused family run business, maybe you're more into a Akshay Titiya in the south, not so much into, let's say, Dhanteras. But if you are in north, maybe you are a similar traditional brand, but you're more into Dhanteras, not so much into Akshay Titiya. Though Akshay Titiya has now become a pan India, or even Dhanteras or Diwali has become a pan. Very interesting thing, which I don't think the industry has succeeded as much as, let's say, the garment industry coming out of Tamil Nadu is what is called as an RD sale.
Yeah.
Right? It is a non-auspicious festival. So the entire garment industry has turned it around, or like the Goa people have marketed the monsoon or a rainy season as a destination. Right. This industry hasn't really cracked that model, right? Like an end of season sale or end of month. I just now saw somewhere somebody's offering a mid-month sale, right? So those kind of pan industries, festivals or celebrations haven't really happened. Though Akshay Titiya and Dhanteras are two large. Wedding is something which is for most retailers. It's almost 40-50% of shopping is related to wedding. That is again split across the season. Some people are shopping before the wedding. Some people are shopping many months before the wedding. So all kinds of permutations and combinations do work.
Yeah, no, so similar to what you said about RD sale in Tamil Nadu. You have Singapore has a summer sale, and I think Dubai is trying some of those things because it's kind of an off season. But my question was not from industry perspective, and I want to revisit that. But what you gave us a very good insight from an industry perspective. My question was from customer perspective. If you buy gold jewelry in off season, do you get better prices? Does it change? Is there a time of the year when industry says like
no? The answer, even if you are a consumer, I will give you an answer, right? You go back and ask your wife, when did she last buy? Or if you say when you bought, tell me what was the gold rate. Right? You will probably not know, right? So what I'm saying is, if you are looking to adorn yourself or adorn somebody, right, the price shouldn't really matter. I mean, I understand,
Fair point.
So then it doesn't matter as to whether it's a 2%. It's like buying your own house, right? The house you live in. While I will look around, bargain and things like that, once it is bought, it is bought. You're not going to change your house every second. So to that extent, it doesn't matter from my point of view as a consumer, right? Whether I buy during Akshay Titiya or I don't buy during Akshay Titiya, or a season or not a season. Assuming that I'm not a very religious minded person or something like that, right? It doesn't matter. I buy it when I like a good piece and I believe that the price is right.
Okay. So are there genuine discounts at all in gold jewelry or even other jewelry? Because, there are people talk about schemes and sales and things like that. Are these things genuine?
Again, it's a pan-India business. So it's very difficult to generalize. There are all kinds of people. There are people who will where the discounts are genuine. The bigger the brand, I would say, bigger is the genuinity. Not to say that the smaller brands are not genuine in their discounting, not to say that bigger brands also don't try to push something like that. But having said that, I believe you as a consumer, not just in this industry, in any industry, whenever we are out shopping, end of the day, there is a net price that you're paying. Right? Look at that price and look at the product or the service that you're getting. Right? Many a times, many consumers are enamored by 10% off, 20% off, or a 50% off. But is the product going to serve the product or a service going to meet your needs?
Right.
So if somebody is saying that, I have this wonderful gold piece and I'm going to give you at zero making charge, as a very what should I say, a very particular fussy customer. I keep saying that I'm a very fussy customer. I don't care whether you're giving it to me zero cost or not. End of the day, I'm paying something in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of effort. So if it's not going to meet my requirements, suppose there's a very chunky piece which I'm never going to wear.
Yeah.
Even if you give it to me at gold cost, even if you give it to me at below gold cost, right? I said I don't want, because I'm never going to wear it.
Right.
So it doesn't matter to me whether you're saying it is a discounted product or you say it is not a discounted product. Okay. Does it meet my needs?
Right. So that's a very interesting point that you make. So are there other important tips when customers go into a jewelry store that they should look for, they should be aware of?
So typically, I would think, as a customer today evolves and looking for choice, right? Looking for brand, looking for what the brand stands for. The story behind the brand is extremely becoming critical, right? Recently, we heard that, what is the brand doing for, let's say, environment? What is the brand's social response? It's not really evolved to that extent today, but it's increasingly happening in the world markets, right? Is the brand really committed to the cause of, let's say, underprivileged, right? Is it contributing? There is a government supported program called the CSR. In fact, today it's mandated in India to spend 2% of your profits. So where is that profits really going? Not just about writing a check. Or is your team committing time, effort, and energy in supporting the CSR cause? Now, if you're supporting that CSR cause, then the consumer is connecting, saying that, while this may be what I call as, I'm in the me, myself industry. But at the same time, I'm actually connecting back and saying that, okay, this is the brand which is contributing to the environment. This is the brand which is contributing to health. Here is a brand which is supporting women entrepreneurs, right? It could be anything, but you have to begin to relate and you have to have a brand story. If you don't have a brand story, which is what I think is the challenge for most, traditional businesses, right? Just because I'm 100-year-old brand, it is no longer a USP to the today's consumer. You have to relate it to today and future. So I will say, so what, you are a 100-year-old brand, what is in it for me today? Oh yeah, I'm connecting you, I'm encouraging women entrepreneurs. Okay, fine. Some percentage of our business, we are consciously purchasing from women. 50% or 75% of our staff are women, because we cater to women audience. So we understand, our women consumers understand the consumer much better than, let's say, a man, even though this is a very male dominated industry.
Right. So you're saying that, like, brand story is important for the customer. So how successful have been, major Indian brands in, building brand story and becoming, let's say, even global players? I mean, we have seen Tanishq showrooms and Joy Alucas or other Kerala brands outside of India and so on. So what has been their, brand building and developing a brand story?
So for many Indian brands which have gone overseas, which is by and large Middle East, it is more targeted at the NRI population.
Diaspora, right?
Indian. So diaspora. So, if you're coming to India or you're familiar with the brands in India, if you're shopping it in your markets, we are available, right? So beyond that, I don't think too much of localization has happened.
Exactly. So have they been able to take that next step, right?
I don't think so. Not in the jewelry space. Maybe in the Middle East, some of the traditional Kerala brands have also been able to cater to the local Arab population. Because that's again a gold market. Right. But I don't think too many success stories are there where an Indian brand has been able to consistently succeed with a European consumer. Even if it's an European in Dubai, I don't think the Indian brand has been able to cater to them. But it's also the fact that I think in Dubai itself, some 50% of them are Indians, and 30% or 40% are non-Indian, but non-Arab also, non-Emirati. So that market of Europeans is a very small, and they would obviously prefer a very chunky or a tiny design, which we may not be catering. It's a brand decision,
And in the other direction, how successful have been foreign jewelry brands in India?
Again, no. The answer is the same answer, right? I think one or two brands have tried to enter into the market, right? Extremely niche, right?
Mhm.
So they haven't really been able to succeed at
Right.
all, at all, at
Right.
all.
Right. So when we talk about foreign brands, and you spoke about designs, European preferences for certain types of designs, dainty designs, very, very, very intricate designs, and then you also spoke about American preferences and so on. So, given that it's all about design in many of these markets, have there been issues related to design intellectual properties?
Generally,
Can even fashion designs be protected by IP?
Uh, generally, these are not unless you're going to a very high level Cartier or somebody like that, and then say this is a iconic design which has been patented or something like that. Generally, these are very very generic designs, so there is
Yeah.
not much of an issue as far as IPRs are concerned.
Right. So we've had a good discussion, across various aspects of the jewelry business, um, all the way up to internationalization and intellectual property and so on and so forth. So, what are your closing thoughts, for this industry, outlook? What these companies, especially family oriented companies, what should they do? How should things be? How will things evolve? What should they do over the, let's say, 5 years or next or longer?
So you see, I go back to my coaching experience in this. So what I say to anybody who is watching this is try and write a roadmap over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
And if I can do a small plug, you say you should hire people like us, right? Right? Because
Sure. Yeah.
what
A
happens
fact, right?
is if they don't get an outside view. Last week also I was telling somebody that what probably I'm telling you is 50% at least is known, but I'm the mirror, and we
Hmm.
are able to ask you those kind of tough questions in a comfortable environment, in a confidential manner, which you normally won't answer. We don't
Correct.
want to, it's very difficult to answer these questions. 5 years down the line, what will happen? 10 years down the line, what will happen to my business when the family is still running the business? But people like us can come and play that guide, mentor, sometimes the devil's advocate, and say, listen, what is your plan for the next 5 years to 10 years? What happens if is your family going to continue, right? 2-3 days back, I met somebody in Hyderabad. They're around in the early 40s. So I said, you are here not like some people who have moved out of the industry. You're here for the next 15 to 20 to 30 years.
Hmm.
Now, what is your plan for the next 20 to 30 years? They said, sir, we don't have a plan for next year.
Hmm.
Right. So that's the ground reality which is shaping, which is facing all of them. So my point to all such people is begin to plan, see where is it that it is, what do you want to do? Right.
Right.
If I now know that, okay, I want to open 2 showrooms, or I spoke to somebody yesterday, he said, I know I can open new showroom, but I don't want to open no showrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So that clarity, if it is there, then, life is much more simple.
Okay.
But most 99.99% of the people don't have that clarity. Should I open? Should I not open? Should I get my family in? My family is coming in, not coming in. If my family is not coming in, then you have to take a call saying that should I
Succession
still go ahead
planning.
and maybe, or maybe no expansion, or maybe
Right.
I will just put together an organization which is run by employees, and I take a back seat and I'm just looking after, let's say, the overall business. I don't talk to the consumer. I don't need, my team is there which is facing the system, and life is sorted. That's
Good.
also fine. Anything is optional, right? There's no right or wrong answer. You are not answerable to the public, right? It's a family money, right?
Right.
And decide. It might take even 3 months, 6 months to even come to some kind of a next step. Forget about 5 years to 10 years, but at least they start thinking.
Right. So, looking back, what would you say? You've been in this industry for quite some time. So, when you moved into jewelry retail from your, watch retail experience and so on and so forth. So, what was the thing that you thought was true about Indian jewelry retail that probably has not turned out to be true?
Uh, Not turned out to be true. Difficult to answer. I think
Okay.
what has turned out to my surprise really is when we
Okay.
started. When we started, we never knew that a company like Tanishq can become so big. because for many years we were just fighting for survival. Okay, so a brand and an organized retailing in a very, very traditional market has grown so big. The second surprise element, if I can call that, is really that traditional family run businesses have expanded. There are lots of people. That 20% market share is because of the top maybe 150 or 200 families. So the 200 families or 250 families, right? Or maybe 600 families, 300 towns, 3 retailers in every pocket is 600 families. The 600 families are now controlling maybe 20% of the business, right? That's a surprise element. Now that kind of depends upon who you are, whether you're part of 600 or outside of the 600, the top 1% versus the 99%. If you are in the 99%, what is your future? If you are in the 1%, what is the future? Right? So if the top 1%, which is the 600, I would think they are reasonably well set. Now it's a question of, improving efficiencies and visualizing, getting into new category. There is a completely new area called lab grown diamonds, which are coming into.
Oh, yes.
Right. That's a completely new area. Should you expand? Should you not expand? Should you do franchising? Should you not do franchising? That's a completely new line. But the 99% of the people who are, one store family, you have to decide whether you want to make that shift, make that mindset shift and move forward, or you are satisfied with what you are doing, which is also right. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Or you will say, no, I will exit this with this generation. All that will come when you start thinking, what is it for us as a family or as an individual, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down. Not everything needs to be answered today.
Right.
Starting point is today. That's the point I keep telling everybody. You don't have to answer everything. Don't have to make all the big decisions today. But the moment you start debating within the beauty about it is they're all in the same family, right? Father, mother, uncle, sister, brother. They're all capable of assembling and connecting with and sharing their thoughts together. Let it evolve 1% at a time. That's more than sufficient for the future of the business. Whether you want to grow, don't want to grow, stay there, or even close and diversify into some. Anything is equally accepted because you don't have any responsibility outside the decision-making family.
Right. That's just a wonderful closing thought.
And hopefully get consultants like us to be asking you the tough questions. I think that's very important. Jokes apart, I think that's critical.
Because it helps you to think, right, from an alternative perspective and clarify, sort out your ideas, and you know why you're taking a decision, because you have looked at the alternatives, but you want to choose this way.
Simple thing. Like yesterday, I had a call from somebody, right? He said, we want to evaluate a salary review post-pandemic, right? And we have been trying to do it in our own way, but we would want somebody like you because you have a real practical understanding of the salary structures in the market. It could be as a simple but very useful thing, right? To give a salary increase, how much to give a salary increase or a performance-based incentive program is very operational,
right?
But getting a third party who can give you a market-wide review, look at it at this 2 years, 5 years perspective, the decision outcome can be completely different, or it can revalidate what you have thought of. Both of them are fine.
Right. No, it's a wonderful set of closing thoughts, and the surprise that you saw and the evolution that is taking place. But also these last 2 questions have given us enough material to call you back and have another different set of discussions. So Shivram, thank you very much. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thanks to IFT for getting all of us together.
Oh, that happened way back, and which was awesome, right? And then we have stayed together as friends for decades since then. So that's been an awesome experience for all of us. So wonderful, and
thank you.
Thank you very much, Shivram.
Bye. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you for joining us in yet another episode of Move Conversations. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to the Move Conversations YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get notifications of new episodes. Thank you very much. Till I see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Have a great day.